Imagine waking up at 4 a.m. in complete darkness, 800 feet under the ocean's surface. The only sounds? The quiet hum of machinery and the distant ping of sonar. This is where our story begins, in the heart of a nuclear submarine, where a team of dedicated culinary specialists is about to start their day. But here's the real kicker. These aren't your typical restaurant chefs. They're about to prepare 1,000 meals in a kitchen that's only 50 square feet. That's smaller than your bedroom closet. Think about that for a second. Fitting industrial-sized ovens, prep stations, and storage in a space where you can touch both walls by stretching your arms. You see, feeding 150-plus hungry submariners isn't just about cooking. It's about precision, timing, and, well, there's this fascinating secret technique they use that even seasoned naval chefs don't know about. But we'll get to that bombshell later in the video. Let us know in the comments. Could you handle cooking in such tight quarters? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Welcome to the Submarine's galley. And trust me, this isn't your average kitchen setup. Every inch of this 50 square foot space has been engineered with military precision. You know what's wild? The entire cooking area is about the length of 3 refrigerators placed side by side. Let's break down how they make this work. First up, the walls. But these aren't just regular walls. They're packed with fold-down prep stations that disappear when not in use. Imagine transformer-style countertops that appear exactly when you need them. And here's something you probably didn't expect. There's a special storage system hidden behind these walls that we'll reveal later in the video. The heart of this kitchen? The steam kettles. These bad boys aren't your grandma's pressure cookers. We're talking about specialized 40-gallon kettles that can cook enough pasta to feed the entire crew in just 20 minutes. They're mounted on gimbals, fancy ship speak for a self-leveling system that keeps your soup from sloshing around, even when the sub is at a 15-degree angle. Now, let's talk about these high-efficiency ovens. They're nothing like what you have at home. These are convection steam combo units that can bake, steam, and roast simultaneously. But here's the clever part. They're stacked vertically to save floor space. Each oven can handle cooking 150 portions in under 30 minutes. Type "stack" in the comments if you're amazed by this vertical innovation. The real genius comes in the space-saving innovations. See those tracks on the ceiling? They're actually sliding storage racks. The prep tables? They double as refrigeration units underneath. Even the sink has a cutting board cover that turns it into extra counter space when needed. But perhaps the most impressive feature is the ventilation system. In a regular kitchen, smoke just goes up and out. Underwater? That's not an option. Instead, they use a specialized filtration system that captures cooking odors and grease while maintaining the submarine's air quality. Pretty crucial when you're breathing recycled air hundreds of feet underwater. The layout follows what submariners call the one-motion rule. Everything you need should be reachable in a single motion. It's like playing chess, but with pots and pans. Every move is calculated. Every item has its precise spot. Drop a yes in the comments if you think you could master cooking in this high-tech, compact kitchen. We'd love to hear what you think is the most impressive feature of this submarine galley. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Remember when I mentioned hidden storage? Well, a submarine is basically one giant game of Tetris when it comes to storing food. And what you're about to learn might just change how you think about storage forever. Picture this, 3 months worth of food for 150 hungry sailors. We're talking about 30,000 pounds of ingredients that need to go somewhere. But where exactly? Well, that's where the submarine's Swiss cheese approach comes in. Every nook, every cranny, even spaces between pipes and behind panels become precious storage real estate. Let me take you on a tour of what submariners call the pantry maze. Dry goods are stored in what they call voids, spaces between the inner and outer hulls. Imagine lifting your floorboards at home and finding boxes of cereal. That's exactly what happens here. But here's the genius part. These storage spaces are mapped out like a coordinates grid. The crew can locate any ingredient in seconds, even in complete darkness. And now, for something that will blow your mind. The vertical farming pods. Yes, you heard that right. In some of the newer submarines, they've installed hydroponic units that grow fresh herbs and lettuce. But wait until you hear about the temperature-controlled zones. The Submarine has different climate areas naturally due to its equipment. The clever part? They use these temperature variations to their advantage. Areas near the engine room? Perfect for storing shelf-stable goods. Cooler areas near the bow? Ideal for produce storage. Here's the real kicker though. Remember that secret storage technique I promised to reveal? Well, it's time. The Submarines actually use what's called a dynamic density storage system. Think of it like those sliding library bookshelves, but in 3 dimensions. The entire storage system can be reconfigured based on the mission needs, all while maintaining the submarine's crucial balance. Let me know in the comments, which of these storage solutions surprised you the most? Type "mind blown" if the hydroponic gardens caught you off guard. But hold on to your chef's hats, because what comes next is even more impressive. We're about to dive into how these culinary masters coordinate their daily schedule in this underwater kitchen. And trust me, what they do at midnight will absolutely surprise you. Ever wonder what it's like to cook when the rest of the world is sleeping? Let's dive into a day in the life of submarine culinary specialists, and I promise you, it's nothing like your typical restaurant kitchen. At 4 a.m., while the submarine glides silently through deep waters, the galley comes alive. The lead chef, or chef de cuisine in submarine speak, starts by pulling out tomorrow's frozen items. But here's something fascinating about submarine kitchens that nobody talks about. They have a unique defrosting technique that we'll reveal later in this video. Picture this: 3 culinary specialists moving in perfect synchronization in a space smaller than a food truck. The first starts the massive coffee urns, because let's face it, submariners run on coffee. The second begins prepping 360 eggs. Yes, you heard that right. While the third fires up those vertical ovens we talked about earlier for fresh bread. The entire operation runs like a well-oiled machine, where every movement is calculated and every second counts. Unlike regular restaurants, submarine galleys operate on what's called a rolling service system. Think about it. At any given moment, some crew members are waking up while others are heading to bed. The galley team serves 4 main meals: breakfast from 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., lunch from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., dinner from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., and the famous mid-rats, midnight rations, from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Now, here's where things get really complex. The submarine operates on an 18-hour rotation cycle. That means someone who ate breakfast at 6 a.m. today might be eating it at midnight tomorrow. The culinary team has to adjust not just their cooking schedule, but also their menu planning to account for these rotating shifts. And they're doing all this while the submarine could be at any angle, in extremely limited space, and during operations that require absolute silence. Type "rotate" in the comments if you've ever worked rotating shifts. We'd love to hear your experience. But before we move on, here's something to think about. There's a secret technique these culinary specialists use to predict exactly how much food they need for each shift. Stay tuned, because this might just revolutionize how you meal prep at home. Which shift would you prefer to work in the submarine kitchen? The early morning 4 a.m. breakfast prep, or the late night 11 p.m. mid-rat service? Share your preference below. And remember, these culinary specialists aren't just cooking. They're performing a crucial military function that keeps the entire crew functioning at peak performance. But cooking meals is just one part of this underwater culinary ballet. What really sets submarine food service apart is the intricate coordination required across every department. Imagine trying to serve dinner while the submarine is doing a steep dive, or preparing breakfast during a silent running exercise. The galley team maintains constant communication with every section of the ship, and you won't believe how they manage it. The control room becomes the galley's best friend during meal service. Before any major submarine maneuvers, the culinary team gets a heads up. Why? Picture trying to transport 30 gallons of scalding soup when the submarine suddenly tilts 20 degrees. That's why they've developed a unique Secure for Sea protocol, a lightning-fast method to lock down every pot, pan, and kitchen tool in under 45 seconds. During special operations, things get even more interesting. Silent running exercises. The kitchen team has mastered the art of quiet cooking. They use special rubber matting on countertops, modified closing mechanisms for cabinet doors, and even have specific quiet hours preparation techniques. But there's an incredible piece of technology they use to maintain silence that we'll reveal in just a few minutes. The medical department also plays a crucial role. They work closely with the culinary specialists to monitor food safety in this enclosed environment. Think about it. One case of food poisoning could compromise the entire mission. That's why they've developed a specialized food handling system that's now being adopted by high-end restaurants worldwide. Then there are the emergency protocols. What happens when you're running silent hundreds of feet underwater and the primary cooking systems fail? The backup systems they've developed are nothing short of ingenious. The galley team can switch to alternative cooking methods in minutes, ensuring the crew never misses a meal, even during the most intense operations. Here's a challenge for our viewers. How would you handle cooking during a 30-degree submarine dive? Share your creative solutions in the comments below. And stay tuned because we're about to reveal that groundbreaking silent cooking technology that's revolutionizing submarine galleys worldwide. Think managing your home pantry is challenging? Let me take you into the world of submarine food storage, where every cubic inch matters and running out isn't an option. Feeding 150 sailors for up to 120 days requires military-grade precision and some mind-blowing innovation. But here's a secret about submarine food storage that even veteran sailors don't know about. We'll reveal this game-changing technique in just a few minutes. Imagine trying to store enough food for 18,000 meals in a space that's scattered throughout the submarine. The numbers are staggering: 2,800 pounds of meat, 6,500 pounds of dry goods, 180 dozen eggs, and enough coffee to fill a small pool. Did you know that each submariner consumes about 60 pounds of food per month? That's nearly 9,000 pounds of food for the entire crew, monthly. Now, let's talk about the fresh-to-preserved food ratio, because this is where submarine storage gets fascinating. The first 2 weeks of a deployment? That's fresh food paradise. Salads, fresh fruits, real eggs, the works. But here's where submarine culinary specialists become masters of preservation. They follow what's called the FIFO Plus system. First in, first out, with a twist. The plus part? It's a revolutionary storage technique that extends fresh food life by up to 40% longer than conventional methods. Every item is barcoded and tracked using a specialized inventory system. Think of it as a high-stakes game of Tetris, but instead of blocks, you're managing thousands of food items with different expiration dates. The culinary team can tell you exactly how many tomatoes they have left and where they're stored, down to the exact shelf number, even in complete darkness. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember that secret I mentioned? Submarines use a cutting-edge zones of freshness system. Different areas of the submarine naturally maintain different temperatures and humidity levels. By strategically placing foods in these microenvironments, they can extend shelf life significantly. Some newer subs even have hydroponic units for growing fresh herbs. Imagine picking fresh basil for pasta sauce while you're 800 feet underwater. Let me know in the comments. What food would you miss the most during a long submarine deployment? Type fresh, followed by your answer. This isn't just about storing food, it's about maintaining morale. Studies show that food quality directly impacts crew performance. That's why submariners coined the phrase, "good food equals good morale." When you're underwater for months, a fresh salad becomes more valuable than gold. Stay tuned, because next we're going to reveal the ingenious way they handle temperature control throughout these storage areas. And trust me, what they do with their freezer systems will completely change how you think about food preservation. Let's dive into one of the biggest challenges in submarine food storage: keeping everything at the perfect temperature when you're floating in an underwater pressure cooker. The ocean creates wild temperature swings, freezing cold water outside, hot engine rooms inside. And trust me, when you've got $500,000 worth of food on board, you can't afford a cooling system failure. Picture running a restaurant fridge that can't make any noise, has to work at any angle, and must keep running even if the power goes out. That's exactly what submarine cooling systems do. They've developed a remarkable 3-zone cooling system that's so efficient, High-end restaurants are starting to copy it. But there's an even more impressive backup system that we'll reveal in just a few minutes. Temperature monitoring is like a high-stakes game of chess. Every storage compartment has multiple sensors feeding data to a central system. If one area starts warming up even half a degree, the system automatically adjusts. The real magic happens in how they've mapped the submarine's natural temperature zones. They use the cold hull areas as natural refrigeration and the warmer zones near machinery for food that needs to stay at room temperature. Type cool in the comments if you think this level of precision is mind-blowing. Now, here's where things get really interesting. The emergency rations. Hidden throughout the vessel are sealed caches of special survival rations. These aren't your regular canned goods. We're talking about specially engineered food that can last 10 years without spoiling, provide 2,800 calories per person per day, require zero cooking, and surprisingly, taste pretty good according to Submariners. Every submarine carries what's called the last resort menu, enough emergency rations to feed the entire crew for 30 days beyond their planned mission. These supplies are rotated out every few years, but here's a mind-bending fact. They've developed a preservation technique so effective that some emergency rations from 15 years ago are still perfectly edible. Remember that backup cooling system I mentioned? Well, it's time to reveal it. Submarines use a revolutionary phase change material in their storage walls, similar to what NASA uses in spacesuits. Even if all power fails, these walls can maintain safe food temperatures for up to 72 hours. This technology isn't just about keeping food cold, it's about mission survival. In an emergency situation, having properly preserved food could mean the difference between mission success and failure. How long do you think you could survive on emergency rations? Share your thoughts below. Think planning your weekly meals is tough? Imagine creating a menu that needs to fuel submariners through intense 18-hour shifts while keeping them alert during critical operations. Welcome to the fascinating world of submarine menu planning, where every calorie counts and nutrition becomes a matter of national security. But there's an incredible secret about submarine meal planning that even experienced naval officers don't know about. We'll reveal that game-changing detail shortly. The numbers behind submarine nutrition are staggering. Each crew member needs between 3,600 to 5,000 calories per day, depending on their role and watch schedule. That's nearly double what an average person consumes. The reason? The constant mental alertness required, irregular sleep patterns, and the physical demands of operating in a pressurized environment. The culinary team uses a specialized calculation system called Subnutree to ensure every meal hits these precise nutritional targets. Type fuel in the comments if these calorie requirements surprise you. Now, let's talk about dietary restrictions, because this is where submarine menu planning becomes a masterclass in culinary creativity. Modern submarines handle everything from religious dietary requirements to food allergies, and even specific medical diets. But how do they manage this in such a confined space? They've developed what they call the matrix system. Every single recipe in their database is coded with dietary indicators, allowing them to instantly generate alternative meals for any dietary need. A Muslim sailor needs halal options. A crew member has celiac disease. The matrix system automatically adjusts portions and ingredients while maintaining the same caloric and nutritional values. The real challenge comes with cross-contamination prevention. Remember that tiny galley we talked about earlier? They've implemented a revolutionary color coding system for prep areas and utensils. But it goes even further. They use specialized airflow patterns in the galley to prevent allergen cross-contamination. This system is so effective that major airlines are now studying it for their own food service operations. Here's something mind-blowing. The menu planning team can predict with 97% accuracy which meals will be most popular on which days of the deployment. They use a psychological nutrition algorithm that factors in mission stress levels, time underwater, and even the day's operations schedule. What would be your biggest dietary challenge on a submarine? Share your thoughts below. And stay tuned, because we're about to reveal the psychological nutrition algorithm that's revolutionizing military meal planning worldwide. Here's where submarine menu planning becomes more than just nutrition. It becomes an art of keeping spirits high beneath the waves. You see, when you're hundreds of feet underwater for months, food becomes more than sustenance. It's a connection to home. But here's something fascinating about submarine celebrations that few people know about. There's a secret tradition that boosts crew morale like nothing else, and we'll reveal that shortly. Let's dive into how the culinary team handles morale through food. Every submarine has what they call the comfort calendar, a carefully planned schedule of familiar favorites and special treats. Think about this. They can predict the exact day when homesickness typically hits hardest, usually day 45 of deployment, and that's when they break out the made-from-scratch chocolate chip cookies. The smell of baking cookies wafting through a submarine? That's what submariners call home in a whiff. Special occasions on a submarine take meal planning to another level. Birthdays? Each crew member gets to request their favorite meal on their special day. Holidays? That's when submarine chefs truly shine. Imagine serving a full Thanksgiving dinner, turkey, stuffing, and all the fixings, in a kitchen the size of a walk-in closet. They've even figured out how to bake birthday cakes at depths where air pressure affects baking time. The secret? A specialized pressure-adjusted recipe book that's become legendary in naval circles. But perhaps the most impressive are the submarine-specific celebrations. Crossing the line ceremonies, when crossing the equator, come with their own unique menu traditions. There's the famous deep diet, special meals served when the submarine reaches its maximum depth. And let's not forget the most anticipated meal of all, the halfway night feast, where the culinary team pulls out all the stops. We're talking about surf and turf, handcrafted desserts, and sometimes even fresh-baked bread shaped like dolphins. Here's a question for our audience. What special meal would you request for your submarine birthday dinner? Share your dream menu in the comments below. Stay tuned, because next we're going to reveal that secret morale-boosting tradition I mentioned. And trust me, it's not what you'd expect from a military vessel. Remember, on a submarine, food isn't just about filling stomachs. It's about creating moments of joy in the depths of the ocean. And these culinary specialists? They're not just cooks, they're the keepers of crew morale, one meal at a time. The world of submarine culinary specialists transcends ordinary cooking. It's where expertise meets military precision. These underwater chefs perform a critical military function that directly impacts mission success. But there's something extraordinary about their training that even most naval personnel don't know about. And we'll reveal this game-changing detail later in the segment. The foundation begins with stringent requirements: a high school diploma, top-secret security clearance, and extensive background checks. These specialists must score in the top 25% on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery (ASVAB) test. The reason? Submarine chefs need to understand complex physics, chemistry, and engineering principles just to cook underwater. Type ELITE in the comments if you're surprised by these requirements. After completing basic culinary school, these specialists enter Pressure Cooking Academy, a 12-week intensive program that pushes their skills to the limit. Training takes place in realistic submarine galley simulators that tilt and rock, mimicking underwater conditions. They master silent cooking techniques for stealth operations, learn to calculate recipe adjustments for different depths and pressures, handle emergency scenarios while preparing meals, and become experts with specialized submarine cooking equipment. Safety protocols redefine everything known about kitchen safety. These specialists memorize over 300 safety procedures, from handling fires without conventional extinguishers to mastering emergency shutdown procedures. They even practice cooking while wearing emergency breathing apparatus. Because when you're hundreds of feet underwater, there's no room for error. Team coordination transforms these specialists into a synchronized unit. The silent service signal system, a series of hand signals, allows them to coordinate complex cooking operations without making a sound. This system has proven so effective that high-end restaurants are now adapting it for their own kitchens. Additionally, these specialists undergo psychological training to understand how food affects crew performance at different depths and during various mission phases. They can identify when a crew member's eating habits indicate stress or fatigue, often before the crew member realizes it themselves. The art of submarine efficiency transcends conventional kitchen tactics. In this pressurized environment, every motion, every minute, and every inch counts. These culinary specialists operate with Formula One pit crew precision, using a system they call zero-motion cooking. But there's an extraordinary efficiency secret that even veteran submariners don't know about. We'll unveil this revolutionary technique shortly. Batch cooking in submarine galleys operates on a whole different level. The matrix batch system allows them to prepare 18 different meal variations simultaneously using just 3 base recipes. Picture this: one basic protein preparation transforming into 6 different dishes through a carefully choreographed sequence of additional ingredients and cooking methods. They've mastered what they call the butterfly effect, where a single batch cooking session ripples through 3 days of meals. Type matrix if this level of meal planning efficiency amazes you. Time management aboard submarines follows the 4-dimensional cooking principle. While surface kitchens work in linear time, submarine chefs operate in multiple time zones simultaneously, preparing breakfast for one shift while serving dinner to another, all while prepping tomorrow's meals. They use a specialized digital system that tracks every recipe down to the second, ensuring perfect timing even when the submarine changes depths or angles. This system has become so successful that NASA is studying it for potential use in space missions. Waste reduction reaches new heights underwater, where every scrap counts. The zero-waste protocol ensures that literally nothing goes unused. Vegetable trimmings become soup bases, bread ends transform into crumbs for coating, and even cooking water gets recycled into sauces. This system reduces waste to less than 0.3%, a figure that would make any professional kitchen envious. Space utilization in submarine galleys resembles a complex game of 3D Tetris. Every inch serves at least 3 purposes through what they call the transformation grid. Cutting boards flip to become serving trays, ceiling hooks transform into drying racks, and even the walls contain fold-out preparation surfaces. The most remarkable innovation: a modular storage system that can reconfigure itself based on the day's menu requirements. Which of these efficiency techniques would you implement in your own kitchen? Share your thoughts below. Stay tuned, because we're about to reveal that extraordinary efficiency secret that's revolutionizing naval culinary operations worldwide. And trust me, it's going to change how you think about kitchen organization forever. The story of submarine culinary operations isn't just about cooking, it's about maintaining the heart and soul of underwater missions. Studies show that submariners rank food quality as the 3rd most important factor in mission success, right after safety and sleep. A single well-prepared meal can boost crew performance by up to 27%, proving that these underwater chefs are truly mission-critical personnel. From World War II's basic galleys to today's high-tech submarine kitchens, the evolution has been remarkable. Today's submarines are testing AI-powered inventory systems, hydroponic growing stations, and pressure-adaptive cooking equipment. The future: imagine 3D printed meals customized for each sailor's nutritional needs, smart galleys that adjust recipes based on depth pressure, and zero-gravity cooking techniques for ultra-deep deployments. These culinary specialists aren't just cooking meals, they're innovating the future of food preparation in extreme environments. NASA, luxury cruise ships, and even space programs are now studying submarine cooking techniques. As one submarine chef put it, "If we can serve restaurant-quality meals 800 feet underwater during silent running, imagine what's possible on Mars." If you've enjoyed diving into this underwater culinary world with us, make sure to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories about military life that you won't hear anywhere else.